Even though Five Nights at Freddy's is supposed to be a horror game series, it features a slew of characters who are only a slight shade off of being cute and cuddly, with plushy bodies and glassy eyes, some of them with painted faces and goofy grins, or characters like Circus Baby who are large and unsettling, but then toddle around with little baby steps. Even characters who are supposed to be off-putting, like the daycare attendant, were quickly deemed cute or scrunkly by the fan base, and taken in with love and affection. Even the creepiest animatronics have endearing parts to them. And then you have Music Man. Not much cute and cuddly about this one, folks. Whether it be from his large black eyes devoid of emotions, his teeth frozen in a constant grimace, or just how disproportionately odd his body is. His body that looks disturbingly like the designs of the Funtime animatronics, a line made exclusively to hunt down children. Note that Music Man is not confirmed to be a Funtime, but it is certainly a look. He is uneasy on the eyes, though I will be the first to admit that works for what he's supposed to be, an animatronic in a horror game franchise. But where did he even come from? There's actually a pretty good chance that your first, or at least most notable impression of the Music Man came from DJ Music Man, a character in Security Breach. But he's been around before that, right? Well, yes, so let's take a look. You might be a little surprised. So this musical spider's first appearance was actually as a purchasable animatronic in Pizzeria Simulator. He can be bought for $19,000, making him the third most expensive bot in the game behind El-Chip and Funtime Chica. Though there is a way to get him for free. If you buy the upgraded ball pit and fish in it, you might get lucky enough to fish out a Music Man, which gifts him to you. As cute as a robot playing in plastic balls sounds, it's not quite cute in practice. He has a high entertainment value and low risk, likely because he pretty much just sits on stage and bangs his cymbals together, and perhaps unfortunately, this really is all he does in this game. He didn't have a voice, he didn't appear in the nights, and he didn't even have an exclusive minigame, so it's no wonder that he went largely unnoticed, save for his dead stare. But Music Man's presence was expanded upon in Ultimate Custom Night, where he, like many of the characters, got a slew of voice lines. But before we get into his voice and personality, let's cover his behavior. Music Man is a sound-based animatronic. He sits behind the player, which is also very unsettling, and will clatter his cymbals when he starts getting irritated by the noise. When the noise stays too loud for too long, he will finally jump scare you. And his voice? Here it is.
You hear that? It's the sweet, sweet sound of your eternal silence.
Admittedly, Music Man's voice isn't nearly as creepy as I might have expected, nor is it as jazzy as it also could have been, though it tells plenty about his personality.
When I'm here, you play by my rules. A song was requested of me, and now I sing it.
Music Man takes his music very seriously, and that seems to be his music specifically. His lines seem to reflect a sort of belief in self-importance, and while he does seem annoyed by the sound you're making, his wording implies that his frustration is less because of the noise and might be more because of how it's louder than him, or how he wants it. Other than that, he seems equally threatening as the others, but he does generally seem to be having a good time, or at least that tone gives off the impression that he's loving every moment of this.
You and I will be making music together for a long, long time.
Though it's hard to get much of a reading beyond that. But that aside, we still don't know where Music Man came from. Like I said, he looks like a Funtime with the plating, the soft purple and pink coloring which matches Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy's, and the speaker in his chest which looks directly like Funtime Foxy's. But there's no real confirmation. He has no blueprints, he has no backstory. He might also be like a knockoff duplicate. I regret to say that there isn't really an answer for this, or at least not an answer that's been provided to us of yet. There is a common theory that Music Man is based off of William Afton. There's not really concrete evidence to back this up, but there's a neat little piece of irony here, as Music Man's voice actor, Matthew Curtis, also provided a voice for Security Breach that sounds like, and was speculated to be, Burn Trap. I'll let you listen and judge.
When I first found you, you were nothing. You were small, pathetic. But now, you are more. Are you ready? You will do as I say. You will bring me what I want, and if you fail me, then you will. Both of you burn!
Unsurprisingly, this too was cut from the game, though was still in the game's files upon release. It's likely left behind from when Security Breach had a story. But there is actually one other possible Afton connection, and it comes in Music Man's name. That is, if Music Man is named after the Music Man Broadway play from the 1950s. It also had a movie version too. The premise is about a con man who sweeps into a small town promising to buy band equipment for the kids, but planning on conning the town and slipping away with the money. A local librarian doubts his altruism and his story, but then has her heart won over by him when his charade leads to her brother being able to overcome his social anxiety and trouble speaking. He in turn falls in love with her and even risks being discovered to win her heart. In the end, the ruse is discovered and he is nearly punished for the crimes that he committed, but just in the last moment it's managed to be turned around in his favor and he is released from prison and gets to be with his love. I find that the parallels about a man being able to effectively con an entire town in a scheme that involves children to slightly resemble what was going on with William when he ran a semi-functioning business. As I went into in my narcissism video, William is a textbook narcissist, and yes, they can be known to effectively trick their partners into falling in love with them, or the persona they've created. In that sense, there does seem to be some similarities that could be read. But those aren't the only ones. The characters on the original Broadway poster look very similar to Vlad and Clara from The Immortal and the Restless cutscenes, the two who are believed to be stand-ins for William and his wife. Another interesting thing to note is that the female lead, Marion, was based off a woman who the playwright met in Provo, Utah. As you might know, Five Nights at Freddy's for the most part takes place in Hurricane, Utah, which is not too far south of Provo. Another small thing that I'm sure is not a connection, but just a similarity, is that the Music Man play was originally supposed to be titled The Silver Triangle, which sort of sounds like The Silver Eyes. This is all just speculation, but the name similarity at least stands whether or not the rest of these are just coincidences. And whether or not Music Man was named or inspired after this is unclear. Well, with that out of the way, let's move on to the Music Man everyone knows and loves, DJ Music Man. It should be noted that Steelwool has gone out of their way to say that these two are not the same animatronic, and while I'm normally reluctant to take word of mouth outside of the content in the games, because it can be unreliable or changed pretty easily, I believe this. If not only because they're so wildly different, but because the new Music Man doesn't speak. I wonder if Music Man became mute to have Matthew do Afton's voice instead? That would be ironic. Anyway, what's the deal with DJ Music Man? DJ Music Man is stationed up in the West Arcade, an arcade with a dance floor and karaoke rooms, making his services as a DJ more fitting. The DJ sits at a stage beside the dance floor where he controls the music for the arcade. The DJ's design takes on a stronger lean towards Spider than even Music Man did. Now set with a slew of long legs topped with large gloves, a segmented body with what might be a speaker on top, and now wears a fitting pair of headphones. He shares Music Man's face, but now his teeth are gaped, revealing purple patterns inside, bioluminescent spaghetti floating in the void of his mouth. Music Man is currently the largest animatronic of all time, except maybe the Blob, but considering that it's assumedly a bunch of pieces of animatronics, I think DJ can still retain the title of the largest single fully intact animatronic of the bunch. I can't stress how big this boy is. I don't remember the name of who at Steelwool designed Music Man, but it's the same person who designed the daycare attendants, unlike the glam rock animatronics in Vanny who were all designed by Pinky Pills. When Gregory first comes across Music Man, he's sleeping on the job. Though once Gregory enters the upstairs office, a security lockdown goes under effect, which inadvertently leads to the triggering of Bouncer Mode. As stated in one of the messages found in the game, Bouncer Mode was a security measure that they were testing to have the DJ also work security. But they found this mode flawed, with the DJ being overly aggressive and uncontrollable. Once Gregory throws the first switch by the dance floor, the DJ begins to crawl around the arcade, on the walls and on the ceiling, through the large openings in both used to let him explore the arcade easier. And yes, he can climb on both the ceiling and walls easily regardless of his size and weight. There's no in-lore explanation, but I would guess that maybe it has to do something with his gloves. Music Man is determined to catch Gregory, to the point where he even waits outside the bathroom and tries to reach in and grab him. When Gregory gets to the last switch, in the back hallway, Music Man chases him down, throwing arcade cabinets to stop him. He seems to be throwing them in front to block Gregory instead of at to crush him, but he could also just have poor aim. Either way, Gregory makes it into the office and the security alert is called off. Coming out of bouncer mode, the DJ goes downstairs and begins to play his music once again. When Gregory passes by, the DJ does not react to him. Now, before Gregory heads in, Freddy tells him that the DJ is a nice fellow, and while Freddy says a lot of things that are downright untrue due to his naivety, like the times he downplays the fact that Gregory is in immediate danger, this might actually be correct. If taking in the bouncer mode and the DJ's later passiveness into play, DJ Music Man might be an arguably friendly animatronic, or at least one who doesn't seem willing to stop or hurt Gregory unless he is in this bouncer mode. This might seem to be a far cry from the original Music Man, but it might not be. We see Music Man initially in a situation where he is provoked into being hostile. What I said about his other traits might be true, but his low liability might back up that on the whole, the Music Man line, while looking rather intimidating, is one of the more passive lines of animatronics. Well, save for one more exception. Lil Music Man is yet another iteration of Music Man appearing in Security Breach. Closely resembling Music Man's initial design, Lil Music Man is an escaped wind-up toy prototype that chases you in the vents. You can't ward them off, only outrun them, and they only appear in a few vents. There's a security log where Vanessa reports the break-in, which set them loose. And that is it! Unlike characters like Foxy, Mangle, Ballora, Music Man doesn't have that many appearances in the games. He pretty much is a greenhorn character in the franchise, but that being said, I could see him coming back in the future, especially with how many fans DJ Music Man has picked up. For now, this is the end of our adventure with Music Man. Until next time, stay quiet, stay safe, and listen for the cymbal clangs. He might be right behind you.
What is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows